chanting.
Spiritual edification.
Yes.
From the path of perfection. Purification of consciousness is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Presently, we are preparing this divine consciousness, for our consciousness goes with us and the time of the death. Consciousness is carried from the body, just an aroma of a flower is carried by the air. When we die, this material body, composed of 5 elements, earth, water, air, fire, and ether, decomposes, and the gross materials return to the elements. Or, as the Christian Bible says, dust do art, and unto dust do shalt return. At that, the finer elements, mind, intelligence, and the ego, which combined are called the consciousness, carry the small particle of a spirit soul to another body to suffer or enjoy, according to one's work.
Okay, so we can stop here, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
More than a changing in something more elevated, our consciousness is probably adapting for the changing of the time.
Right. But personally, any of you experienced how the consciousness evolves due to association? For example, we are conscious of something, right? In general, what are we conscious about right now? All of us. We are all in middle age, right? What are we conscious about? Surviving. Money. We need money to survive. So we are money conscious right now. We are money conscious. Let's say as soon as a baby is born, is a baby conscious of anything? Sorry? Food. He's right. In Sanskrit, in our Vedas, it's explained the babies are, they call Maya is consciousness. Maya. This is Annamaya. They are conscious of food. Annamaya. They always, you put a finger, they start sucking. They need milk. They are always conscious about eating something, feeling their stomach. That's all they are conscious about. Right? Weather? Right. So that's the next stage. In the beginning, yeah, they are not, maybe they may, the body may be feeling, but they're really not conscious. The next stage is that they're conscious about protecting themselves. So that's called pranamaya. Prana is the they're fearful of that they may get hurt, and then when they grow a little bit, they're also conscious about themselves, and they're conscious about their brother and sister and and the parents. This is how the consciousness is evolving. Annamaya to pranamaya. So when they grow a little bit older, what do they become conscious about? They start using their mind. They speculate, oh, if I do this, I'll get this, chocolates. They know where. So this is manomaya. They're conscious about, the consciousness is increasing. Annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya. And then when they grow a little bit older, they use their intelligence. Oh, if I do this, remember last time I touched it, I got burnt. My finger got burnt. Now let me be. So they use the intelligence. That's called Jnanamaya. Isn't it evolving with the experience? Is right. Generally, we all try to enjoy sensually, like eating, sleeping, meeting, and defending, right? But when we evolve, we will also try to go beyond intellectual, like Vijnanamaya to Anandamaya. What is the eternal happiness? How do I get this? That comes only with when we come in touch with God, spiritual process. Because otherwise people are stuck in other conscious. Anandamaya. So we are spirit soul. Our nature is to be happy, right? Satchit Ananda. We are eternal, we're knowledgeable, and we are supposed to be blissful always. So when we want to be eternally in a blissful state, that's called Anandamaya. Mm. That's possible when we practice a spiritual process. So here we are saying the Krishna consciousness is it all it does is it purifies our consciousness. Okay, so it's preparing us to get into the divine consciousness. So when we associate in the sadhu sangha, satsanga means what? When we associate with people with higher consciousness, we become, our consciousness become higher and higher. It's very simple. We can experience that. Bhumi, Rapor, Analo, Vayu, earth, water, fire, ether. Just like we make a brick, we take earth, put water, put a fire, brick is formed. Similarly, this body is a combination of these 5 elements. And this, yesterday we were talking about, even scientists, they prove the subtle element. Even they assume that this body is formed with a combination of chemicals. They are now seeing that the mind has also influence on the matter. Some scientists they're saying an example of random number generating machine. All it does is it generates a number randomly with zeros and ones. So the scientists are sitting at the machine, they are in the mind, they're desiring, okay, let the number be like this. So they're able to influence this machine with their thought process, the subtle thought process. So there is a subtle power. Okay, so how the consciousness affects, next paragraphs, somebody can read please.
If we associate with stool, our consciousness, which is like the air, will carry the aroma of stool, and thus, at the time of the death, will transport us to an undesirable body. Or, if the consciousness passes over roses, it carries the aroma of roses, and thus we are transported to a body wherein we can enjoy the results of our previous work. If we train ourselves to work in Krishna consciousness, our consciousness will carry us to Krishna. Therefore, our present duty is to cultivate divine consciousness. If we want divine life, spiritual elevation, and eternal blissful life, full of knowledge, in other words, if we want to go back home, back to Godhead, we have to train ourselves in divine consciousness or Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so it's not a question of if we want, also in the sense one may say, okay, I don't want. But if you observe, everyone is looking for, because this is the nature of soul, Satchit Ananda, everyone is looking to be eternal, right? Nobody wants to die. Even a person at the deathbed, he desires, he don't take it, he don't assume that he's going to, he has, at some corner he has this feeling that he is not going to die. Everyone has this feeling. That's because we are not the body. That's true. That feeling is true because we are the soul. The soul is never going to die. That's why this feeling is coming. You know? Although he's in the deathbed, he feels somehow it's not going to be the end. He has the same desires. So everyone has this feeling to be eternal. And everyone is looking for knowledge. Unfortunately, if they're in mode of ignorance and passion, they're not able to gain too much knowledge, but they have this. That's why Google, how powerful it has become. Just trying to provide some data. The problem is the material world is a lot of data overload, bombarded with so much data. So if by the time you filter knowledge from the data, our life is finished. Too much data. So, but if we take up to the spiritual process, take up the process of Shabda Praman, which is hearing from an authority of scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is our supreme authority, and the Acharyas. So, and we can save a lot of time from this data overloading. We can quickly get, the best knowledge, and then we can apply Anumana Praman and Pratyaksha Praman. Anumana is speculating, and then pratyaksha, then we can try to experiment using that knowledge. That's the best way to elevate our consciousness. Satchit Ananda. So everyone wants to be enjoy, right? Enjoyment means what we know. We know about the movies, eating food, taking nice rest, sports, and 99% of the people, if you ask them to define what is enjoyment, I've tried. They can't define. Oh, I mean, they know how eating is enjoying, sleeping is enjoying, but if you want to define, it's hard to define. They should be able to understand. Generally, enjoyment means when the senses come in contact with the sense object, we feel happy. So we are attached to the senses are attached to the sense objects. What are the senses? How many senses we have? Five karmendriyas and five knowledge acquiring senses, like the eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and five karmendriyas, the moving. So when we see beautiful things, we feel happy, the eyes. When we hear nice music, we feel happy. When we taste nice food, we are happy. When we touch nice things, we are. So this is basic enjoyment, right? So is there anything higher than this enjoyment? How do we define it? So if the basic enjoyment is defined that the senses come in contact with the sense object, you feel happy, this is sensual enjoyment. So now how do we define higher enjoyment? How? In other words, I can give a very simple, by serving the senses, we get sensual enjoyment. The senses demand, oh, give me nice food. So immediately we serve. Okay, come on, man, take it. I want to see beautiful. Okay, come on. Look here. I want to browse this website. Okay, come on, Google. So this is, we're serving the senses. We're getting sensual enjoyment. Then what is next level? How do we define it? Is it that we are all happy just only by serving senses? Or is there anything higher? Something higher, but how do we define it? We're experiencing something higher sometimes, but how do we define that? Okay, the mind, right? So are we experiencing happiness by mind? Family, that's a good point, right? Someone is very selfish about his own senses. He's just, concentrating on enjoying his senses. We can define it as sensual enjoyment. But let's say if he has a family, children and wife, he doesn't care about them. He's just focused on his food, right? Is it higher? I mean, if he's cruel, if he's like animal, then he may be happy. But any human, he won't be happy, right? How can he be mentally peaceful if his family is suffering? By doing his duty successfully. Exactly. So by doing his duty and by taking care of the family, your mind is peaceful. Isn't it higher than sensual enjoyment, or is it lower? We all feel it's definitely higher.
Ultimately, it's the same thing. That makes your senses feel that they have done the good thing.
It's not the same thing. For example, sensual enjoyment not necessarily be the same as mental, because even when we enjoy sensually, the feeling of satisfaction is coming from mind alone. Mata. Sure, that's the next level. That's the next level. So let's talk about family. The families are connected to the body. I think I'm the body and my senses. So we're trying to satisfy the demands of the senses. We feel happy, and we also see the extensions of the body, the wife and children, my family. So when we serve them, we are mentally peaceful. Let's say your parents are in India. You don't call them for 1 month, and you're busy working. So how do you feel? Can never happen. He's a very good son. But the thing is, just by calling them, let's say you didn't call for 2 days, you're busy. So as soon as you call, you feel relieved. Oh, they're doing fine.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
by the means of your senses only.
so the mind is a master of senses. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the senses are superior to the gross matter, The mind is superior to the senses. In fact, even when we eat food or see beautiful things and hear nice music, the feeling of satisfaction is coming from mind alone. That is where we process our satisfaction or dissatisfaction. In each of our mind, we have our own world, our own universe we have in the mind. It all depends on how you perceive situations, depends on your knowledge, intellectual knowledge. Each person looks at a situation completely different. Okay, so one example to realize the satisfaction we feel on the mind is higher. If the mind is disturbed, no matter what you try to give for senses, they don't like to enjoy. So this itself proves that the mental happiness is far more superior and very much required. For example, when we have a difficulty, family problems or something, and you want to go hang out with, you don't feel like, right? Yeah, you're diverting, but still you're suffering in the mind, right? Somebody wants to, call us for a party, but you have a big problem. The mind is not. So this itself proves that you don't feel like eating. You don't feel like enjoying the senses, because so that means taking care of the mind is. On the other hand, if you mentally you're satisfied, although you don't get food for 1 or 2 hours late, you're satisfied. On the other hand, right? Similarly, so how do we define mental satisfaction? Serving the family, immediate family, serving the things that you're attached to, your mind is satisfied. Whatever you're attached to, as long as you keep that happy, the mind is satisfied. Then Mataji's question, what is higher than that? The mind is, what is mind? Mind is condition, right? It comes through many, many lives. So based on where we grow up, where we take birth, and what kind of people we are associating with. So mind has different demands. So what is next? Apart from serving family, what do we do? Make money. Duty, yes. See, remember one day we discussed the source of happiness in this world is service. Because service is the dharma of the soul. It is the eternal, intrinsic, inseparable quality of a soul. Because in the spiritual world, the soul is simply serving God with some relationship. Now we come to material world, we cannot destroy the quality of the, right? Like water, although the water changes the state according to the temperature, we can't really take away that quality of water. Whether it's ice or liquid or a gas, it has that quality of liquidity. Similarly, oil, sun, the energy of the sun, whether it's stored in the plants, when we put fire, the wood, it generates the fire. When the wood is gone down below the earth, it becomes coal. The heat is still there. The coal becomes oil. It still has the quality of fire. Similarly, the service is there. So try to think. So the tendency to serve senses is there. The tendency to serve the family, where we get mental happiness. And we need to be conscious. This is called evolving our, consciousness. So what is higher? What else we try to serve other than our senses and family? Generally, in this world, everyone is trying to serve other people. So that's what Mataji said. Friends, society. Because we are part of the society, we would like to serve them. Because we are part of this country, I'm attached to the country. My country is great just because I was born there. It doesn't matter real situation what it is. Just because I was born in this country is great. Whatever, right? Generally, if you're not spiritually evolved, that's how people do it. But when you spiritually evolve, then you see everyone is a plan of God, all that stuff. So when we try to serve others, we're going beyond the mind. We are thinking intelligently. It's the intellectual happiness. That's what it is. Right? But when you try to serve others without full, perfect spiritual knowledge, Normally we are using intelligence. We're trying to be a little bit smart than other people. Not necessarily we are not seeing from the shoe of God, from the eyes of God. So that's what we see charities and so many people, they try to help without thinking the big picture, without knowing the big picture. Everyone is trying to help each other. So this is one step higher. But how do we get it? By serving society, by serving. Let's say you, and this is far more stable. The sensual happiness is very like temporary, very temporary. Mental is little bit longer. Intellectual is much longer intellectual. Huh? And it's not so miserable also. Let's say you famous, like you were a freedom fighter, or you made a big thing for the society, so it will stay for your life. It will not, nobody can take it away. But sensually, how much can we eat? There is a limit, and then immediately within 4 hours we feel hungry. So mentally also there is a limit, because the mind is fluctuating always, sankalpa vikalpa. Intellectually it's far more better. Now you got a gold medal from President of America, so it will stay for the whole life. Or you did your IIT gold medal in India. It doesn't matter whatever economy, you still have a job, so you know for sure. Just right, Harvard University, MBA. So this is intellectual, but there is something higher than that. Just like in the same logic, like we serve the senses, we serving the family, we get mental peace. We serve the society, we get intellectual happiness. And we serve, go beyond the earth. Everyone's trying to go green, save the planet, right? Go beyond the planet, universe. Where is the sunlight coming from? So we are using electricity now. I have to pay electricity bill, but when sun is giving free energy, how do we pay it back? Right? Water, now we purify water, buy water, but very soon we have to buy the air too, oxygen. But now it's free. So just to purify and transport, we are paying a lot of money. But what about the original product of water and the sunlight and air? So this is the thought process. This is how people get spiritual. Logically, if you see, no, you have a responsibility to pay back and to serve. But there are many like different departments of things that we are surviving on. And when we realize there is one Supreme Lord in control for all these things, let me serve Him, that's when we get spiritual enjoyment. That's far more superior. That's what Bhakti Yoga does. Bhakti Yoga is simply transforming all our material stuff into spiritual. You just put Krishna in everything, He'll spiritualize the whole thing. So this microphone, we can sing some mundane songs, we can attach to some duets and whatever. Or you talk about God, spiritualizing it. So harmonium, everything we can spiritualize. The food we can spiritualize. So that is what this Krishna conscious process does. It will help us understand that, help us elevate our consciousness from sensual to mental to intellectual and far more beyond spiritual. And we can feel that. So when we do kirtan, that's what we feel. Why do we feel so in bliss? That Dr. Gita Mataji is trying to explain, right? When the love, and so this is because you're trying to come in contact with the energy of the Lord. The higher you serve, the better you get satisfied, right? And you just have to please your authority, serve and please authority. In the material world, we have this experience: when we please our authorities, we are satisfied, right? But the God is a supreme authority. So what if we please God? Yeah, if we please God, then completely satisfied. He'll take care of everything. Okay, so this can be done through association. Sangat sanjayate kama. So Krishna consciousness process means spiritualizing our desires. It is like giving a protection to our mind with the shoe of satisfaction, gratitude. Okay, sangat sanjayate kamat means sangat association. Through association, we develop our desires. You know, so whoever we are associated with, that type of desires we get. Pretty simple. And that's not the end. The next line of this verse goes, kamat. When the kama becomes a strong desire and we can't satisfy the desire, it becomes krodha, anger. And then when we get angry, what happens? Krodhat bhavati sammoha, bewilderment. We get bewildered. Sammohat smruti, smruti vibhramaha. Smruti, the memory is lost. We become angry and we get bewildered, and when we are bewildered in that state, we lose the memory. Sammohat smruti, shruti bhramsha buddhi nasho. Intelligence is lost. When the intelligence is lost, then we have no control of what we do next. Yeah, we will lose what the words what we speak and the actions what we do, and the position we are in, we forget everything and do a nasty thing and fall down from that position. So Krishna consciousness process, it gives nice satsang where we associate with people with spiritual desires and we spiritualize our desires. But it has to be consistent. Everything should be like consistent. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So, anyone want to proceed next? Through divine association.
Through divine association, our consciousness is made divine, and through demoniac association, our consciousness is made demoniac. Therefore, our consciousness must be trained to be divine through the proper association of those in Krishna consciousness. That is the duty of one in this human form, a form that gives us a chance to make our next life completely divine. To attain this end, we should try to contact those who are developing divine consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a method for connecting directly with the Supreme. This is the special gift of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not only is this method direct and immediate, but it is also practical. Although many people entering this society have no qualification, they have become highly advanced in Krishna consciousness simply by coming in contact with this society.
So all we have to do is just come in contact with the sadhus. There's many stories. One story I just remember. One thief, he wanted to steal Prabhupada's watch. Prabhupada always wear a golden watch. So he had a plan. Let me steal this watch. You know that story, bro? He followed Prabhupada to Hyderabad and then he wanted to stay in the ashram. So then just by coming in contact with devotees, he became nice devotee. He's the one of the person who does the TV, ITV, one of the person. There's in London one criminal, he just went in the parade, the Jagannath parade. He went to hide himself from the police. So he went to the temple, he lived there few days, shaved his head and tried to eat prasadam and everything. He followed the schedule and everything. And then the heart is transformed when he lives with the devotees. After a few months, then he revealed his whole real story to the president, temple president. So I believe so, yeah. So I see, wonderful. So he revealed his mind, and the president said, "No, you should go and surrender to the police. Otherwise, we're in trouble." So he agreed. Okay, he went and he surrendered. And in the court, I mean, they did the research where he was being really, and he did all this. They did the research, and the judge said they didn't punish him because he said, "You voluntarily took up the process that you'll be going through in the temple is better than what we give in the jail." So, because they have a strict process, get up in the morning, chant, and very regulated process. That's the power of association. There are many stories like that. Just even by unknowingly, in Mayapur, where my family was living like 2 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. There are many stories. Some Matajis, I heard a story. One Mataji, she just went to, out of curiosity, she went. She said, the first day, my God, terrible. I can't stay in this place even for 3 days. And then just by living there, association of devotees, and she had so many problems physically, in the body problems. Just for 2 weeks of staying in Dham, she got so attached and became so spiritual. And all her health problems are gone, and she is kind of living there for forever. So like that, there are many wonderful stories. So we'll go to 1 or 2 questions by the time all the plates will come, and then while having prasadam we can discuss. So from what we discussed, what is the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement? ISKCON to purify the consciousness. And so what happens to our bodies at the time of death? Yes, the body becomes dissolved into the material elements. So we have the portion of earth, water, fire. So they become merged with the other, those elements, back into those elements. Now when we eat prasadam, Krishna gives fire in the stomach to digest the prasadam. It's a fire element. So the souls, they will go with the mind and intelligence to the next. At the time of death, whatever is our consciousness, it go to that type of body we acquire. Krishna, God is so merciful that He always satisfies our desires. When our time ends in this body, when it's next, let's say when your lease ends in this apartment, depending on how much salary you're making, no, exactly. So based on how much you're making at the end of this lease, let's say the lease ends and your job is gone. So you will prefer to share with friend, or go to a lower apartment. Like what if your lease ends in this apartment and you had a big promotion or a hike in the job, you got like 50% hike, so you'll probably buy a house or higher. Same thing, like when our lease ends in this body, based on our consciousness, how elevated our consciousness is, God will give that type of apartment to us. So this is like a car, right? We're traveling in this car. So we can reach Him. We can go back. We don't need to have this vehicle. So we'll have spiritual vehicles. Right now we have a material vehicle. In this material vehicle of the body, the soul is traveling. This is like a Maruti 800, not so good. Okay. So when we can afford more, we can get a binge car. So you can go to heaven or higher planets, right? If you can more evolve, you can get a spiritual car. It doesn't need fuel at all. You just think, let me be in India. You'll be in India, like Narada Muni. Let me be in America, so you can be there. I want to see Brahma, so you can go there. I want to meet with Lord Shiva, so you can. Okay, you can. So this kind of body we can get. So that's how God is great. He is satisfying everyone's desire. So let's say the prayer and everyone start. Mahaprasade Govinde Namo Brahmane Vaishnave Svalpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwasena Vajayate Sharira Vidyajar Jadendriyata Hekal Jiva Phale Vishay Sagare Tara Madhya Jivati Lobamai Shudurmati Take Jita Katine Sansare Krishna Padadoyamai Koribare Jiva Jai Swaprasadan Dilobai Se Naam Ritak Pao Shri Radha Krishna Gunagao Premida ko Shri Chaitanya Nitai Jai Nimai Jai Nitai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Krishna Mahaprasadam ki jai.